All right, a new audit shows some significant discrepancies in how the city of Baltimore spent and then tracked federal money for programs ranging from HIV/AIDS prevention, COVID relief funds, and even lower income housing. We want to bring in CEO and founder of Open the Books, Adam Andrzejewski. Good morning.
Good morning, Taylor.
Now, I really want to get into this quickly because let's just break down the findings from this report. Give it to us.
So, look, this was the fiscal report card. The next one's going to come out over the course of the next 2 months. And so looking back, it's important to see what they cited in terms of real deficiencies at the city. And so first off, you had payroll. They weren't able to locate time cards oftentimes. This is troubling. The city's running $1 billion worth of payroll. The next item on the list was federal grant making, $77 million of federal grant making, but there was deficiencies like the city claimed a different amount of federal grants than the feds actually claimed. I mean, so at a basic level, accounting controls were off. And then you had water bills. On the water bills, there was a new meter system installed, and the accurate reporting of water usage and revenues, the auditor found, was off. It was suspect. And then you have the deficiencies in whether or not the city could suffer another ransomware attack. And this is troubling as well. And what wasn't in the report was red light camera revenue. Taylor, you remember our auditors at openthebooks.com. We got two different numbers, 51 million in red light revenues from the Department of Transportation and $62 million out of the Department of Finance. And they settled on a compromise right in the middle at 56 million. Didn't inspire confidence.
One thing I really want to touch on about this report is what you said with water bills and the ransomware attack. Some of the discrepancies that were in this report, the comptroller said, are not new discrepancies. They're things we've seen before, which rings bells of that ransomware attack back in 2019, 2018. Give us more understanding, I guess, about what are the things we've seen years leading into this.
So what government program in the city of Baltimore is running well? At a very basic level, they have to secure the financial system of the city. A year ago, this report said that it wasn't secure, that a ransomware attack could happen again. And the last ransomware attack on the financial system shut it down in the city of Baltimore. And the estimates by our auditors, it cost the city $20 million, $10 million in restoration and recovery of the data, and another $8 million in terms of lost revenue because bills just didn't get paid during that period. And today we know on a no-bid insurance contract, the city pays $1 million a year of insurance premiums to insure the city against the next ransomware attack. And the auditor last year said the city is vulnerable. Again, doesn't inspire confidence.
Another thing that's also striking about this report is the areas in which those federal funds have been difficult to track. We're talking about HIV prevention. We're talking about low-income housing. We're talking about, a plethora of issues that really require the federal funds. Can you tell me a bit about why they're seeing high-risk discrepancies in those areas?
So at a basic level, you have to know how much money in the city agencies from the feds that you have to spend. And the auditor found that the city agencies, their number didn't match the number given to them by the feds. Furthermore, the audit said that city agencies didn't have accountability systems in place to make sure the federal grant was properly spent. And then the third finding was that the time periods are off. 40% of the time in the grants that were studied, the time period of performance didn't match the time period for the grant. Now, Taylor, this is only going to get worse in 2022. According to our data at openthebooks.com, rather than $77 million of federal grants, there are $102 million worth of federal grants, plus the $650 million worth of aid from the American Rescue Plan, and nobody has any confidence in the financial systems at the city.
A lot to sift through in that report. Thank you, Adam Andrzejewski.
Thank you.